Maya, the survivor of the first film, regains consciousness in a hospital. Her body is covered in wounds, but she is alive, unlike her boyfriend Ryan, who didn't survive the night when a trio of mysterious, masked strangers visited the house they had rented. The police are questioning Maya, but the girl realizes they are unlikely to find the killers, while the killers could easily find her. So if Maya wants to live, she has to run. But who among the people she meets on her way can she trust? After all, Maya never saw the faces of those who tried to kill her. Brian Bertino's The Strangers, released in 2008, is one of those films defined as a sleeper hit. This term refers to projects that become commercial hits unexpectedly without any obvious reason. Not received very warmly by critics, The Strangers nevertheless performed solidly at the box office, earning over $80 million against a budget of less than $10 million. Once it hit home video, it developed a small cult following, which allowed both a loose sequel released in 2018 and The Strangers, Chapter 1, a quasi-remake Hawks reboot of the very first film by Renny Harlin, which saw the light of day in 2024, to turn a profit. However, Renny Harlin didn't just remake Bertino's film. He envisioned something more ambitious, a full-fledged trilogy with the original movie serving merely as a starting point. Interestingly, investors believed in him and his ideas so much that they gave the green light to shoot all 3 films at once. By the time the first part of the trilogy was released, its 2 sequels had already been filmed. Now we finally have the chance to see what this was all for, and to be honest, it's difficult to form a definitive opinion. Predictably, critics didn't like The Strangers, Chapter 2, and it's hard to disagree with their arguments. Indeed, the film is banal, and most importantly, the decision to shift the plot towards unmasking the killers undermines the very idea from which The Strangers grew. The thought that you could die at any moment for absolutely no reason, simply because you were home when death knocked on your door. Randomness, illogicality, undeservedness. That's what made the original The Strangers scary. And the attempt to dig into the reasons to somehow make sense of the senseless ruins this concept at its core. In terms of its style, The Strangers, Chapter 2 looks exactly like the first film. It's a gloomy, dreary, atmospherically effective movie, shot and directed by professionals of the genre and their craft in general. Nevertheless, it's not very well constructed. At the center of the sequel's events is Maya. Essentially, she is the only heroine here, and since slashers can't exist without deaths, the movie becomes predictable and monotonous. Maya runs away, occasionally meets random people who try to help her, but they are immediately killed. Rinse and repeat until the required runtime is achieved, interspersed with survival scenes for variety, where Maya might suture a reopened wound with makeshift means, or fight a computer-generated boar that suddenly decided to play Cujo with her. At times, all of this feels like a typical slasher teaser prologue, where the main heroine is brutally killed at the end. But in this case, the teaser seems to be stuck, like a scratched record. The film lets the victim escape and starts all over again. However, Harlin himself apparently considered the main attraction not to be Maya and her attempts to survive, but what was mentioned earlier, the personification of what was, until now, an abstract evil. In the very first frames of the sequel, we are shown the face of one of the trio of attackers. The film has several flashbacks to her maniacal childhood, alas, utterly trivial. And a significant portion of the runtime is dedicated to a beat where Maya suspects her new acquaintances of being the killers. This guessing game allows the plot to move along more briskly, but it doesn't change the main issue. The film's main trump card is baked right into its title, The Strangers. And in the sequel, Harlin, for some reason, laid this card on the table with his very first move.